Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, this spoiler season, my goodness, has been a ride. Whoa, okay, I mean, there's been again, these spoiler seasons are kind of strange now because it's like, here's the first look, and also miscellaneous cards in between, and also, oh my gosh, some leaks because we don't know what we're doing. Or are we the ones doing the leaks? Oh, wizards. Anyways, but yeah, it's been a crazy spoiler season. Lots of crazy good cards and some really exciting commanders. And yeah, these they're not partnered, like the team up commanders, whatever you call them, are really cool. They're just kind of the flavor kind of combination between the two, known commanders that we've had in the past, the legendary creatures. And they're like, these two together are now so powerful they do this, and they get all the colors between them, and blah. So yeah, it's really cool. Regardless, this one, yeah, has a lot of potential. Yeah, is really spicy. Let's jump into it. Elenda and Azor. Every single time I see the name Azor, I think it's like I think of like the Azor's Electors or whatever it is, the one like where you're just trying to like stall and win on counters. Regardless, this doesn't do that. Anyways, that was way off topic. Sorry. 6/6 Vampire Knight Sphinx, because that's a thing with flying in Ward 2 that costs 3 white, blue, black. Whenever it attacks, you may pay X white, black, blue, black. If you do, draw X cards. So basically, but I mean, different mana requirement, but basically Sphinx's Rev on attack. That's not, oh, it's not Sphinx's Rev, I guess. It's just, you don't gain any life. That's what old Azor did. Anyways, basically, who cares about the life gain, okay? All right, you've got ways to gain life. You are going to be just drawing a lot of cards with this, dump a lot of mana into that, and yeah, it's a repeatable trigger, essentially. Again, every single combat you can do this if you really want to. And you're going to want to draw a lot of cards because, hey, at the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. Okay, let's see what happens if we do that. Sure, I mean, we're in Commander, right? That's only 1/10 of my life. I can do that, right? Here we go. If you do, create a number of 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Yeah, I'm going to pay that. Yep, 4 life is well worth that. So first up, I mean, obviously you get your 1 card you're drawing in a turn, right? Sure, you can also get, this trigger. You can swing and you can get, put a good amount of mana into that. Of course, you can just ramp and just put a ton of mana into that. Maybe that can be the goal of your deck if you really want to go that direction. And just draw a ton of cards. And then you're like, yeah, cool, I'll do 12 cards this turn. Yeah, I'll pay 4 life, make 12 tokens with lifelink that can gain me my life back very easily and then some. Yes, please. And there's also certain kinds of cards that we'll get to here in a bit that can hypercharge this. That can make it so that, because again, this is the number of cards you drawn this turn. It's not like the most cards you drew or like, your hand size or anything like that. It's like, no, how many cards did you draw this turn? I don't care how you got there. I don't care how you drew the cards. You drew 20 cards? Cool. Make 20 tokens. You drew 50 cards? Cool. Make 50 tokens. Yeah, and that's pretty doable once you get set up properly. So yeah, you can go in a couple of different directions with this commander. You can go big mana. You can go, different kinds of basically, mass draw spells. You can do wheel effects. Okay, I kind of spoiled that one right there, but wheel effects are huge with this commander. We'll get to some here in a bit. But yeah, you can go in a couple of different directions, or you can do a combination of them, and this commander can be fantastic. Again, look, and just on this commander, Ward 2, it's protected as well. That's very nice to just have on your commander. And yeah, draw engine for you. This is pretty crazy. Let's talk about some budget buys and some pricier picks. Budget buys, again, are going to be cards that are less than $1. Cards within my budget. Pricier picks are going to be cards that are outside of my budget. Cards that are above $1, but they might be within your budget. Regardless, cards that work well with this commander. And if you are considering building around this commander, well, consider checking out that link in the description below. It's got the list of all the cards I talked about in this episode, and consider picking some of those up because when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled, well, sometimes cards that work well with it go up in price sooner rather than later. I'm just going to keep saying sooner rather than later. I say that a lot on these episodes when I'm talking about that. Anyways, let's jump into the budget buys. So, first up, like I mentioned, yeah, going big mana is definitely a direction you can go with this. There are some hyper-efficient mana rocks, some ones that are very flexible, like Everflowing Chalice. This is a very good card. Multi-kicker 2, enters battle for that many charge counters on it, taps for that much, essentially free charge counter. So basically, you're getting half the amount of mana back that you put into it. So if you pay 4, you're getting 2. You pay 6, you're getting 3, etc., etc. Basically, a great way to just dump a ton of mana into it and be like, yeah, next turn I'll have even more, and I can just utilize this again for that giant X ability. And also, your commander does cost 6. That's a decent amount. So yeah, being able to ramp to get your commander 2 can be quite important as well. And recast your commander if it gets dealt with. Regardless, More mana is almost never a bad thing in Commander, so yeah, having a good amount of hyper-efficient mana rocks in your deck can be absolutely great. Now, one that is not hyper-efficient, and yes, I'm showing this image in particular because Decanter of Endless Water, not a budget card for the regular version of the card. The, what is this? Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. I don't know why that set just escaped me right there. Those versions, the kind of different art versions, for whatever reason, are a lot cheaper. Like, this is like 25 cents. The regular card's like 10 times that. So I'm counting this as budget. Yes, because there is a version of the card that is budget. So yeah, that's how I basically, yeah, that works. Tap for 1 mana of any color for 3 mana. Not efficient, okay? Not efficient. Basically, manalith. Not good. But what is good is you have no maximum hand size. Again, a trigger at the end of the turn does not care, what your hand size is. That doesn't matter. But what you might want to do is hold on to all those cards that you drew, because that is a pretty powerful thing. So yeah, a great way to do that just on a mana rock. Why not include something like this in your deck? And again, it is budget, at least for now. Next up, Thought Reflection. I have brought this card up, I think, more than any other card, except for one other I'll bring up here in a bit, which is kind of like this. I have brought up this card, I think, more than any other card this entire spoiler season, because there's so many commanders that this can benefit. Thought Reflection, enchantment for 7. If you draw a card, draw 2 instead. Oh my goodness. Okay, so basically, again, making your commander's trigger twice as effective, again, on that attack. So you're like, okay, I only have 3 mana to put on that X. Okay, instead of drawing 3, drawing 6. Again, this doubles up your draw for the turn. And then if you had all that, that's 8 cards you draw on that turn just by doing all that. Again, this also works incredibly well with cards we'll talk about here in a little bit, like wheels, and yeah, things can get really crazy with something like this. Again, basically, doubling up the amount of card advantage you're getting, and of course, doubling up those amount of tokens that you're making at the end of your turn. Now to the wheels. Here we go. Tolarian Winds. Very simple, very effective. 2 mana, instant. Discard your hand, draw that many cards. Yep. So, I mean, you're technically drawing like 1 less than you would have had in your hand because you are playing this out of your hand still. Regardless, even though you're going down a card, if you had 10 cards in your hand, you play this, you have 9 in your hand, let's say, you're drawing 9, which is a massive amount. And yeah, really adds to that draw amount again for your commander's trigger to get you even more tokens. Again, this is basically like in that situation, make 9 tokens at the end of your turn, or an additional 9 tokens on top of all the other cards you drew. Absolutely absurd. Again, just 2 mana. And when you chain wheel into wheel into wheel, things can get really, really crazy. So I was very surprised to see this one. I thought that I made a mistake on typing it in because I was like, Ancient Excavation hasn't been budget friendly for a long, long time. I think like the last deck I put it in when it was budget friendly was like my original Joda deck, like years and years and years ago. I think like the second or third episode I put on the channel. And then since then, it wasn't budget friendly. Finally, I don't know how it crept down underneath $1. So here we go. I was so excited to see this. Hopefully this doesn't go back up. Regardless, draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand. That discard a card for each card drawn this way. So it's kind of like the reverse of a wheel. I just bumped my mic, sorry. It's kind of like a reverse of a wheel in a way, allowing you to draw first. I mean, not a reverse, but it's like it allows you to select the cards essentially that you want. So you're like, hey, okay, I'll draw up, I'll see everything I got, and then I'll discard what I don't want. Again, regardless, still just a great way to double up your hand size temporarily and draw an absurd amount of cards. And if you want to basic land cycle it away, you can. That's a great card. Next up, Whispering Madness. A wheel that is repeatable. And again, with a commander that has flying, this is fantastic. Now, that sounds kind of strange because usually those things won't work together, but this has Cypher, and we'll get to that here in a second. Each player discards their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discard this way. So we might not even have the most cards out of everyone. Again, maybe we're lower on cards for whatever reason. And that player over there, Timmy over there, Timmy, I mean, I'm not like I guess Timmy like a dinosaur player or whatever. Anyways, Timmy has 7 cards in hand. So we're going to be like, okay, we discard, everyone discards. Let's go up to 7. Perfect. You just netted a lot of cards again. You are adding to your card drawn for turn. And also, Cypher. You can also exile this card and encode it on creature control. Whenever that creature is combined to a player, its controller may cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost. So then we encode this on our commander. We swing with our commander. We also get our commander's trigger, which is lovely. And actually, that plays really well into this too. So let's say we activate our commander's trigger, whatever, we draw 3 more cards. Then we hit with our commander again, because our commander is flying, and typically we can get through at least 1 player. We hit that player, we cast this for free, and then we had, 10 cards in our hand after that, essentially? So then we're like, oh, okay, let's, cast this again. Wheel again, essentially, and, yeah, everyone draws up to 10. We just drew basically, 17 cards? Actually, that even more, 20 cards, essentially? I don't know. A lot of cards. This can lead to some crazy plays. It's a great wheel for a deck like this. Moving on, Laquatus' creativity. You can even find janky old cards from way back when I was playing back in Odyssey, and you're like, this is no one plays this. But actually, with this kind of a commander, it's pretty good. Target player draws cards equal to the number of cards in their hand, then discards that many cards. This one is actually kind of funny because you could mill summon with this, I guess. But also, yeah, I mean, just a great way, again, to be like, yeah, I'll just have more and more of these wheel effects, essentially, to just draw an absurd amount of cards, get that count up, get my cards drawn count up, so I can just create an absurd amount of creature tokens to gain the life back that I just spent, and also dominate my opponents. Next up, Forgotten Creation. Yeah, we're not done with the wheel effects just yet, because this one is a great one and has fluctuated over the years. Budget to not budget. It is budget again. 3/3 Skulk. Skulk's just funny. Creature can't be blocked for creatures with greater power. Yeah, I just think Skulk's funny. Anyways, beginning of your upkeep, you may discard all the cards in your hand if you do draw that many cards. It's a free, right, once you get in play, a free repeatable way to wheel at the beginning of your turn. Again, if you had 7 cards in your hand to start, congratulations. Discard your 7. I mean, I guess I'm counting the card drawn too. Discard your 7, draw 7, and you know what? You just added 7 to your total cards drawn in the turn. So your commander's like, I'll take note of that. Great. You're doing good work over there, buddy. Make a lot of tokens. That's how your commander talks to you, right? Chasm Skulker. Basically, another way to make an absurd amount of tokens. Eventually, a 1/1, whenever you draw a card, you get a counter on it. So this can become absolutely massive in no time. This can actually be a pretty fun thing to swing at your opponents with, and they do not know how to block it. I mean, they might think they can take it out, and then you're like, Tolarian wins. Draw a ton of cards. Anyways, when it dies, you create X 1/1 blue squid creature tokens with Iron Walk or X the number of counters on it. So make a ton of unblockable against certain players creature tokens when this dies. So yeah, yet another way to take advantage of the amount of cards that you are drawing. Speaking of which, Psychosis Crawler. Yep, you knew it was coming. Well, maybe you didn't, but yeah, this is a great card for commanders that love wheels, and this is a commander that definitely loves that. Power Time is each number of cards in your hand. Great, this can become absolutely massive. Quick technical thing, when you wheel and, like, let's say you discard your hand, then draw that many cards or whatnot, this doesn't actually check for its power and toughness until that has resolved. I'm probably saying this wrong in the wrong way, but this doesn't take out your Psychosis Crawler because you have a spell that makes you discard your hand. Then technically you'd be like down to 0, but then you draw 7. It doesn't go down to 0. I think it's called a state-based action or whatnot. Regardless, not a rules lawyer out there. I'm not a rules lawyer out there. I'm not a rules lawyer. If you are, comment below with how this works. Anyways, whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. That's the important part. So again, this can be a heavy hitter for you, but also, hey, you know all those cards that you're drawing and you're making all those creature tokens because of that? Great. On top of that, let's drain our opponents for an absurd amount. Yeah, you can just one turn take every player out essentially with this in the right setup essentially. Just be able to discard, draw, discard, draw, discard, draw. This loves wheels. Did I mention that? And also kind of in combination with your commander, you attack, you draw a bunch of cards with that X, and you're also just draining your opponents for that X value too. So have fun with that, especially again in combination with cards like Thought Reflection. Gross! Okay, there we go. Now, speaking of gross, let's move on to the pricier picks. Cards that are outside of my budget, but might be within yours. And yeah, there's some really good ones to consider. First up, Annoying Procession. Enchantment. If an effect create one more tokens under your control, create twice the amount of that many tokens. A token doubler. Who knew? Very good. Yeah, and there's the new one from the set as well, the last set, the Dominus as well, that you can consider too. Doubling up your token production is absolutely absurd, obviously, and yeah, with this commander, you're like, oh yeah, I drew 10 cards, cool, okay, I'll make 10 tokens. Oh, wait, sorry, I've got no procession in play. I'll make twice as much, I'll make 20. Yeah, just 20 tokens. No big deal, no big deal at all. No big deal. Speaking of not a big deal, Ashnod's Altar. This card is crazy good with this commander, and I absolutely love the way that this works. Sacrifice a creature, add colors to your mana pool, a fantastic sacrifice outlet, and you're like, well, Mitch, why would you sacrifice the army you just made? And you're like, yeah, well, you know what? I want more mana, and with that mana, I'm going to put that into that X. So essentially, I'm going to have my commander swing. I'm going to, again, let's say last turn I made 10 creature tokens, right? I'm going to sacrifice my creatures, those 10 ones, or 10 whatever, 1/1 lifelinkers that I just made. And then I'm going to put all that mana, that's going to be 20 mana, into that X. So I can draw 20 cards to make 20. And then next turn I can do 40. Be careful you don't mill yourself unless you've got like a fast Oracle, Labman, win condition, or whatnot. But yeah, with this can get really crazy, really out of control. Because essentially it allows you to basically, at the very least, double up your creature token production every single turn while drawing an absurd amount of cards. And yeah, it's just fun. Next up, Windfall. Hey, did I mention wheels are good with this commander? There's plenty of great ones. This is a really good one. Each player discards their hand and draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards player discard this way. Very efficient, very effective, just 3 mana. Again, it can actually net you cards, you know, versus kind of where you were at. If another player has 7, you were down at 4 or whatever, go up some cards. Again, very efficient, very effective. Another way to just draw a ton of cards, add to your draw count. Speaking of which, a repeatable one, Jace's Archivist. Pay a blue, tap, each player discards cards in their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards the player discards. So basically, a repeatable Windfall. Again, and again, and again for a single blue mana. Yeah, well worth it. And again, the more of these wheel effects that you have, you know, in play, I guess I should play with this one, the more of them you have, the more of them you cast, the crazier turns are going to be, and the more creature tokens you're going to be making. Speaking of which, hey, if budget is no problem to you, okay, if you've just got all the budget in the world, Time Twister. Yep, that's the only legal Power 9 card, and it's very good. Sorcery for 3 mana. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard in the library, then draws 7. There you go. That'll prevent you from milling, which is nice. And then, yeah, you just added to your, again, draw count for 7. So, yeah, if you've got a couple $1,000 lying around, there you go. Next up, Teferi's Aegis Insight. Again, this is the other card like Thought Reflection that I brought up on so many episodes because for whatever reason, Wizards is like, all these commanders must love draw. Anyways, Teferi's Aegis Insight. If you draw a card, except the first you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Basically, a better version of Thought Reflection because it is 3 mana cheaper. So yeah, a lot of the times you can get down a lot earlier, and Thought Reflection better technically when it is in play because it does double up your draw step draw. But still, again, this one is 3 mana cheaper. It is a really good card. Make sure you are considering it. And now for some more gross things. Shield of the Apocalypse. Hey, yeah. Gross. Okay. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Nice. Look, very friendly, right? Hey, you know what? I'm just trying to pad my life total, okay? Look, I have to pay 4 life at the end of my turn. Oh, to make those vampires. It hurts me so much to do, so I'm just trying to get my life back. Yeah, a couple wheels with this, and you have an absurd amount of life gain. On top of that, there's just another little piece of text on here. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. Okay, so, yeah, all those wheels that you have that force your opponents to draw cards too are going to be draining them 2 life for every single card they draw. Absurd. And that's on top of obviously their draw step draw and any of their draw spells they have. Good luck to them because they're going to be taken out incredibly quickly when this is in play. Next up, Psychic Corrosion. You might want to go for a mill win too. You really can with this kind of a commander, with this kind of a card. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent mills too. So yeah, there you go. Again, if you're wheeling, you're drawing an absurd amount of cards in a turn. You could probably mill all your opponents all at once with this. No, I mean, it's not, I'm going to say quite easily, but once you're set up properly, the amount of cards you can draw is absurd. So yeah, you can go with a combat strategy by making an absurd amount of vampires. You can go with a mill strategy. You can go with a Psychosis Crawler or Shieldred strategy. See a lot of ways to win with this. And yeah, I'll bring up another one. Sphinx's Tutelage. Again, whenever you draw a card, target opponent puts the top 2 cards of the library of their graveyard, mill 2. If they're both non-land cards that share a color, repeat this process. So if you're playing against a monocolor deck, this might just mill them on 1 trigger. I mean, it's very unlikely, but yeah, if you get a couple triggers off this, you can very easily mill people who don't have as many colors in their deck. So yeah, again, if you're playing against a monocolor player or a 2-color player, essentially, they might be in a bit of trouble. And speaking of triggers and speaking of ways to take advantage of them, well, Stranic Resonator is a great one. Pay 2 tap, copy target trigger ability, control 2 targets with a copy. So this can help you out in a couple of ways, again, with your Commander's trigger, which can be great, or again, with any of these other kind of triggers that we've talked about, you know, really taking advantage of them. And yeah, it's just a good card to consider, especially for a Commander that's got a very powerful trigger. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Elenda and Azor. Yeah, it's a heavy-hitting commander. One that, again, is a 6/6 flyer with Ward 2, which is already just nice, with a basically, you know, a giant draw, you know, X spell essentially attached to it on attack. And then, yeah, you just get to make an absurd amount of 1/1s of lifelink. Yeah, you got to pay a little bit of life for it. That's not a big deal at all. You can make an absurd amount of creature tokens with something like this. So yeah, definitely a good commander, and one that many players out there I think will be considering. If you are one of them, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. Because, of course, again, when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled, sometimes cards that work well with it go up in price. And, yeah, if you haven't seen my most recent episode... No! Teshar fell... and Mora, I guess, or Moria... I'm sorry, I don't remember you. Teshar fell, though! But, very powerful new commander. One that you have got to check out at some point, so make sure you check out that episode. But yeah, comment below with your thoughts on this one. Make sure you're staying tuned. There might be some more quick takes and spoilers. I have no idea what else is going to be coming out. But yeah, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.